if you can do it here, we can do it everywhere. And Africa is going to go 100% daytime solar now.
Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Tom Mazinde, and welcome to Sub-Saharan Negev Diary, where we exchange ideas on what works in other countries and what we can learn from in different countries, especially in developing nations. And today I have a very special person, one of the top global clean energy pioneer, Mr. Yossy. I will allow you to introduce yourself, and for the person who is viewing you for the first time to know who is Yossy.
Hi, thank you for having me here, and
welcome.
We actually have a very warm place in my heart and my friend's heart for Kenya, so I'm glad to have this conversation. So I'm a solar entrepreneur, and we created the solar industry here in Israel and also in Sub-Saharan Africa. So that's that's the background.
Yeah, and may I first just also congratulate you for being named as among the top 6 global energy pioneer by the CNN, the person who have interacted with a number of countries in Africa, and there is several models different nations have used in terms of working with Africa. And you have pioneered in terms of green energy into the Energiya Global. Maybe someone doesn't know about Energiya Global before I may ask another question, but like what Energiya Global's vision is about in terms of green energy.
So we, I was fortunate to put together the team that brought solar energy here to the Arava, to the south of Israel.
Yeah.
And this is the first region in the world from the Red Sea to the Dead Sea.
Yes.
It's 100% solar power during the day. And that's the solution really done here.
Yes.
And to bring it to Africa for climate reasons, but also for social and economic development. Because if you don't have access to energy, then how can you really have healthcare or education or industry, and for other goals like the empowerment of women. So we took the lessons learned here in the Arava, and we're bringing it to those countries in Africa that would want to partner with us, and that's what we do.
And talking of the model, do you develop the solar panel and export, or you export the model that has worked here?
Yeah, so solar panels today are actually a commodity. I mean, they're produced by a number of countries, mostly China, and you can get them on the open market. So there's no innovation in that. What's difficult, particularly in Africa, is how do you integrate everything, meaning the politics, the regulations, the finance, the technology, the grid, like everything. How do you pull it all together so that you can develop power plants throughout Sub-Saharan Africa? So we bring everything together and use our experience, our intellectual capital, and we then bring financial capital. But it's only for countries who really want it. And every country says they want it, but they don't really, or else they would have. We would have built many more.
Yeah. And you have worked with a number of countries in Africa. Recently, you launched 7.5 megawatt in Burundi. And I will ask specifically about Kenya because I come from Kenya. You worked before with the national government.
Yes.
During the Kibaki era. And now you are working with county governments. I think with Makueni County.
Yes.
Governor.
Yes.
Kifuita Kibwana.
He's a very special man. He's a very special man. Yeah, very respectable person.
If you, in terms of working with the national government before and now working with the county government, like in terms of the difference, where do you think there's a difference in terms of engagement?
So energy is very tricky in Kenya because on the one hand, the country did some things really well. They established what's called the feed-in tariff. They established a power purchase agreement, and it looked like it was an organized system. And then they broke all the rules. Essentially, it's very hard, unfortunately, I say this as someone who's a friend of Kenya, to do solar on a national level in Kenya. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's certain entrenched interests.
Yes.
And it's actually very sad. I had started working in Kenya well over about 10 years ago.
Wow.
And when a very senior member of the government asked for a bribe, and we said, Your Excellency, we would, it wasn't a big bribe either. I was very surprised.
Yeah.
We said, we'll donate that amount to an orphanage in your area.
Yeah.
And that we're willing to do. And he said, no. So we left Kenya.
Yes.
After that, we didn't think we can work. So I was very fortunate to accompany our former Prime Minister, Netanyahu, to Kenya, I think about 5 years ago.
Yes,
and
I remember this time. Yeah.
And he and President Kenyatta both said, okay, Israeli and Kenyan companies work together, and specifically also on energy. And we said, okay, we're here and we're going to do that. That was 5 years ago. And we've made some progress, but not enough progress. That is the truth. And I'm sorry to say that. I am hopeful that this year we will actually conclude 2 solar fields in Kenya, the negotiations on them, one in Kwale and one in Transmara, each one about 12 megawatts.
Wow.
And one's near a national park with the Maasai tribe. We're very excited.
Wow.
And what we did there is different than everywhere else. Kenya sometimes says we need the energy, and sometimes says no, we have too much energy. Kind of but the truth is that there are parts of Kenya that have decent energy, and there's lots of places in Kenya that don't have. And so what we're planning to do is what's called last mile generation, meaning in those 2 locations, right, Transmara and Kwale, there's actually a grid line, but there's no energy there, right? So we're adding, hopefully very shortly, 12 megawatts in each of those locations. That's a national level. Now, the de-evolution is very interesting, and I think it's a good thing for Kenya. But the governors, they only have authority over very small pieces of their energy size. So actually, not just you mentioned one governor, but Governor Francis and Governor James. We signed with a number of governors. Some of them have been to Israel. And then when we went to see what are their needs for the municipal needs, there's only a couple hundred kilowatts. It was small in each of these locations. And they didn't have the expertise or the energy profile, and it was very, very slowly. And as an entrepreneur who wants to bring investment to Kenya, there's not enough scale to justify the time. So it's a little bit hard. But in each of these counties, I think there should be utility scale solar fields. A partnership between us and the county that feeds the national grid. As soon as you do that, you need the national KenGen and KPLC, right? The energy ministry and the finance ministry and all of those, all the different pieces. But what I'm hoping is that if we come up through the de-evolution process with a governor, and the governor goes to the national government and says, look, this would be good for our county and good for Kenya and good for the environment and good for climate, good for economic development, please approve this. Perhaps it's the partnership through the counties that will break through some of the great uncertainties when you work with the federal government.
So you think that was at the moment one of the challenges, like limited resources at the county government and also bureaucracy with many players in the field, like KenGen you mentioned.
Right.
Yeah. And you have successfully worked in other countries to launch I think I read about you working with some years ago with ECOWAS, a very big project. What model Energiya Global has that believes is more sustainable to not because I see most of foreign investment they develop and then after 1 year it fades. What are some of the unique approach do
Right.
you have?
So we've also seen projects where they work for a year or so and then it fails. And
Yeah.
some of those projects are more donor driven. And so our model is it's a impact investment, right?
Yes.
It's a development investment, which means it's 20 to 25 years
Yes.
in each country in which we're working in. And so if we're going to repay the loan and pay our investors, the plant has to work for 25 years, which means we're going to take care of it.
Need to be feasible.
Exactly. And so, therefore, it's in our interest to make sure that all the maintenance, the operations and maintenance is professional.
Yes.
So it's different than just giving a gift of a solar plant, right? Which then if it breaks, no one's really looking after it. There's no one incentivized to do it. So here, on an impact investment model, it's only a good investment if we have to keep it working, and that's important.
So, like in this case, it's like build, operate, transfer.
Yes.
After 25 years.
Exactly.
So it makes it different. Like you don't build and leave it to the host government, and then they repay the loan. You finance the whole project.
That's right. So number 2 is we do 100% financing on condition that the government or the utility has signed a 25-year power purchase agreement. We usually like to link it to inflation. But based on that, if it's done professionally, we're very happy to bring it. So it doesn't cost the people, the taxpayer, the government anything. And the price of the power that we would be selling to the grid is cheaper. Certainly cheaper than the heavy fuel oil that Kenya uses a lot. You know, it's cheaper than when you have to import from some of your neighbors. And with climate change, the hydro is getting less predictable, and so therefore, you know, when you have more blackouts or brownouts or less energy access, it hurts the overall economy. And so, so we come in not looking for any subsidy. We'll do 100% financing if you're willing to lower your costs. So it should be a good deal.
Yes, sure.
Right. Our third model is always to involve the local communities.
I was just about to ask this.
It's that we say to the heads of state and the energy ministers, we're not going to bring a lot of people from Israel. We want your help to find qualified subcontractors. We want to train in the universities nearby. We want to have local jobs.
So you work with the local experts?
Yeah, with local experts and students, and we want to make sure that the people actually doing most of the building live there. Like they should benefit from the economic development. So that's very important to our sense of partnership. The Chinese often come in with their own people, and then there's very little economic development for the people, and that's not our model. Kenya and Israel have long-term ties, and Golda Meir, who's then our foreign minister, was there for the independence and the setting up the embassy, and it was her model of friendship through partnership, through technical training, and so we maintain that tradition. Even in our impact solar business.
So in this case, the state of Israel to support the entrepreneurs who want to invest in, let's say, Africa, right? But now, in terms of receiving the same support from the host countries in Africa, where, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you rate it?
Do I rate Israel's support as a country, or
no? The support, like in terms of supporting logistics. Let's say it's the state of Israel.
So look, we each country is its own story. Kenya is a relatively well-developed, highly educated country. You can get almost everything you need from a point of view of both high-end labor and middle and low-end labor. So Kenya is actually very impressive. You can do the local engineering, you can do some of the wiring, the frames, and everything, and just bring in the panels and the inverters. But there's a lot of expertise in Kenya, and that's good. We don't rely on the state of Israel or really the government of Kenya to find us, the specific companies. We would put that out to bid in a professional way. But what we really need is just the certainty that the project's going to happen. And for that, we need both governments to come together and say, this is important and we support it.
And this is, I will ask this last question, and this is a kind of general question. I will quote one of your quote when you were in Liberia. You said, charity alone can go as far, but I think a solution-based model can have solve a lot of problem in sustainable way.
Yeah.
Do you think charity do better for Africa than the West, or do you think we need to look in charity in a different way?
So, first of all, for all the people who give charity, we want to say thank you to them. There's needy people everywhere. There's vulnerability everywhere. You look at the economic effects of Corona, the health effects, and so there's always a place for helping people. We're trying to look at systemic economic development that can kind of lift up as many people as possible. And there's not enough charity in the world, right, that's going to flow, particularly into the poor areas, the poorer counties, to be able to do the same that the dignity of a job would bring, right? Which is, a different kind of money. The value of a shilling that's earned as opposed to that's donated is completely different, because the person who's earning it, right? They have a level of self-respect, agency over their life, making their own decisions from that are right for themselves. So I think we do need more foreign aid to the weakest segments of all of our societies, right, including in Israel. And that, but for economic development, there needs to be patient impact capital that is deployed in a for-profit mode. I have to say, and I'm going to give you a secret, because we're about to share this with the Kenyan government, so you're getting a scoop. So part of the issue of the instability in the solar industry is that the investors, that we come in and we say, okay, we want to do a deal to build a solar field. You, Kenya, have to buy our power in dollars, right? Which makes sense, because we're using dollars to buy our panels and our inverters, and our financing, comes in dollars.
Like a global standard.
Right. So, but then countries like Kenya say, wait a second, but we have shilling, we have local currency. We want to pay you in local currency. And the investors go, no, that doesn't help, because I have to pay my bills in dollars. So the challenge is to take these two, and so therefore I think it's one of the reasons why the president is currently reevaluating all the power purchase agreements on energy now. And so there's a lot of fear and instability in the solar space. So we're saying, President Kenyatta, we have an idea. Let's do the first power purchase agreement on the continent in local currency.
That will be in Kenya.
In Kenya. And so we're very pleased. We've partnered with Infraco and Garanco from the United Kingdom, with our other partners. And we're about to submit to the Kenyan authorities the first local currency power purchase agreement on the continent. So we hope that the President, the Finance Ministry, and the Energy Ministry, and KenGen, which doesn't want to give dollars because they're very limited and precious, KPLC, that they're all going to be very excited about this. And then if we can do that with these two first projects, Kwale and Transmara, then I think it'll be easier to work with the counties and the governors to bring more projects to the federal government, because they'll say, but look, it's in shilling, it's good for us.
So this will be like, if what about if the inflation has affected the economy and the exchange of the toll and Kenya shilling is...
That's right. No, so there's a big risk to investors for doing it,
Exactly.
right?
But the benefit to Kenya, right?
To Kenya. Really big benefit to Kenya.
Yeah.
So you're right about the risk.
Yes.
And up until now, no one's been willing to take that risk in Africa or in Kenya.
You are willing to take the risk. I must say, I'm really first honored and great privilege first to host you.
Thank you.
Because this channel, we thought with the people whom we created with that we can learn from one another. And if we learn, because model developed in one country may not work in a different country because of different context. But we can transfer the knowledge to develop local-based models that can work there. And I am so glad that I meet one of the pioneers of great models that have worked.
Thank you.
And I would like to tell our viewers that let's watch part 2 where Yossy will show us some of the pioneer projects started by him way back. When was that? Like 10 years ago?
I arrived here to Kibbutz Keturah in 2006. We plugged in the first field in the Middle East exactly 10 years ago, basically today.
Wow. What do you tell our viewers?
If you can do it here, we can do it everywhere. And Africa is going to go 100% daytime solar now. We need a sense of partnership.
Looking forward to collaborate.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
And now let us watch us in part 2.